Inside 54 Vintage and Vinyl, every record holds a story, and music can take us back to where our own stories began. That made it the perfect place to meet Adan Romero, shortly after he was named Chief Creative Officer of UWG. Born in Honduras and raised in Brooklyn, Adan's perspective was shaped by the art, rhythm, and culture around him. As he searched for music that represented his early career, we discussed cultural appropriation, the mission behind Blackweek, and his vision for UWG's next chapter. If your career had a soundtrack, right, what would the early years, what would that sound be?
Oh, I think it would have to be MOP.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think Annie Up is probably the song that really like had me open. I think MOP in general, just because the rawness that they bring to the game, and also the sort of like the unapologetic presence that they had. You know, that's why they went from label to label, because they refused to sort of give up on their own personal brand and who they are, because you know, for them, their brand was the reputation that they had. I mean, I remember them being in Brownsville and just going to all the bootleggers and beating the shit out of bootleggers who were selling their tapes. So, you know, for me, I just think that regardless of the art that you take on, if you hold true to your brand, then you're going to succeed. And then, you know, holding true to your brand isn't always good for the pocket, but holding true for your brand is good for the longevity of the career.
You're consistently letting people know that culture is not a niche market.
It's not.
It is what it is.
It's the market. I mean, the reality is that, you know, when you think about black culture, brown culture, culture in general, you know, we are the authors of what everybody else follows. And it's starting to really blur the lines between, you know, what's out there, what's being copied, and also sort of what's being stolen. But the reality is that what we're doing is we're just giving sort of the authors of culture a way to sort of bring themselves out there, because, you know, a lot of brands, they borrow from culture without even tapping into the authors of culture.
Right.
So what we want to do is make sure they understand who the authors of culture are, and it's not because we're brown, it's not because we're black, it's because they're legitimate people that are invested in living this and walking in it every day. And just so happens that brands every now and then, you know, they see something trending, so they want to sort of join in the conversation.
Right.
But the reality is, we walk in it every day. You know, when I think about the work that we do, when I even think about me starting as a graphic designer, it was because, you know, when I was growing up in Brooklyn, you walk by and you see the street art, you hear the music, you see the style, everything, like all of that it impacts everything that I do, and visually, you know, it calls you. So it calls you to create, it calls you to make, and that's who we are inherently. You know, we don't really need to go to Urban Dictionary or Google anything. We are living in it. So I just want to make sure, that brands understand when they're taking from culture, they should be partnering with the authors of culture rather than stealing and taking and tapping into culture. You can't tap into it if you're not walking in it.
Yeah, because they're always like, it's very surface.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we got what we want, see you later. And then they never come back to it. And then they wonder why the campaign doesn't keep existing or it
and
doesn't
the thing
evolve.
is, if you're tapping into culture, if you're just tapping in every now and then because you want some numbers and you want some, you know, you want to get some attention, the consumers they see that. They see when you ain't about it.
Yeah.
They see that
They
when
definitely see it.
you know, it's obvious that you don't walk this. It's obvious that you don't fuck with us. So why are we fucking with you?
Yeah. But we seem to. I don't know.
No, we seem to fuck with them a lot.
We seem to fuck with them a lot.
You know,
like, we talk that shit, but...
I like, I work at Uniworld now, UWG, and
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Just got appointed CCO of
CCO at
Uniworld.
Uniworld. You know, it's a storied, you know, it's a storied agency.
Yeah.
You know, the first multicultural agency. You know, Mr. Lewis changed the face of advertising. But we also just got Multicultural Agency of the Year this year.
Yes, congratulations.
So, thank you. But for us to be around 56 years, And to be that storied and have that reputation, but then to still today be Multicultural Agency of the Year, it's because, again, everybody that works, with us and for us, walks that walk.
Right.
And okay, multicultural budgets aren't as great, or aren't as, multicultural budgets aren't as big as general market budgets.
Exactly.
But our work is more impactful, and our work reaches more people. But it's also, our work blurs the lines and gets noticed. Because what we put out there is authentic, and our audience see that authenticity. But also we cross audiences. We, the lines, like I said, the lines are blurring. But authentic work speaks to all audiences. That's why I say, like, now multicultural is, it's an outdated word. We're culture. We're culturally driven, idea driven. So when you say multicultural, it is outdated because, I think now we should just be focusing on doing work that's authentic.
Yeah, it's just a great agency. I don't think there should be a title like, getting multicultural. In fact, I feel like a lot of agencies they feel like they're considered that are wanting to drop that whole title.
Yeah.
They're like, we just want to be awarded for being a great agency doing great work, not just because we have a good culture here.
It's an honor to be noticed, and it's an honor for Ad Age to see us.
Yeah.
And to celebrate us.
56 years in the business.
56 years in the business, to still be seen as an agency that understands culture, but is also authentic, but it's also relevant and current. That's a big accomplishment for us. I'm honored and I'm proud of it. But the work we do, truly is culture first, idea first. We're idea driven, but we understand that those ideas come from the way we walk every day. The reality, culture is lived experiences.
Yeah.
So the more lived experiences you have within groups, the more well-rounded the work will be.
Right. The more authentic it'll feel and come across, and everlasting, and being awarded even.
Yeah.
You're one of the 7 founders of Blackweek. Why did you guys start this conference, and what makes it so different?
We started it because we saw there was a need. We're around each other, and we look around, and when we're in groups, we see each other, and we understand the sort of impact that we each have, but also we really admire each other, and we're inspired by each other. All very intelligent individuals, but also all very driven. What we wanted to do is create a space where there are more of us like that. Selfishly, we just wanted to sort of be around more people that think like us, that look like us, that walk like us. And I think that the first year of Blackweek was, it was daunting, but it paid off, and it became something bigger than life.
Yeah.
When you hear people saying that they feel safe in those hallways, when you hear people saying that they feel like they got a battery on their back now, the reality is that you're never going to be it's never going to be a position where you're going to see a lot of you at any agency.
Right.
We're always going to be, either the only one in the room, or one of 2 in the room, or one of 3 in the room.
Exactly.
But what you have with this is that you have to. It's bigger than the room. What we have is each other, and that what we're bringing to the table is a community and a network people can tap into. The second year, because of all those DEI sort of
rollbacks,
and
cutoffs,
cutoffs. Over 500 Black women lost their jobs.
Yeah.
So our goal was to get them in here and get them to network and get them to talk to people that can see them and bring them into different organizations. So year 2, we gave away tickets.
Yeah.
We gave away tickets to anybody that's been impacted by DEI rollbacks.
And a discount for women.
Always a
Because of
discount for
the
women.
unequal pay that women get, that was great. So when people say, "Oh, that's another conference," "Oh, well, I'm going to Ad Week," what do you say to them? Like, what?
Well, for us. It's not a conference. We are. For us, it's less about the conference itself, but it's an economic forum, and it's trying to understand how your dollars work, but also understanding that the impact that you have can be monetized.
Right.
You yourself as a brand can be monetized. So this year we did debut, which highlighted young makers, young creators. We highlighted short films,
Yes,
music, everything.
I love that aspect.
Because what we want to make sure that people can see not just the business side of us, but the entertainment side of us, the maker side of us. What we want to do is, we want to make sure that it's an economic forum, yes, but it is a celebration of creativity. It's a creative festival as well. And so it's very different than when you think about advertising week. We do have panels, but our conversations are real, and our conversations are not, our conversations aren't canned conversations. We're very intentional about the conversations being had, who's on those stages, what they're talking. We want to not expose as much as be transparent, because everybody can get a gem from what you're saying, from your words. We wanna help people advance themselves, advance their careers, but we also want brands to advance the work that they're doing. Be more authentic in the voice that you have as a brand. Be more conscious of who you're talking to, who you're impacting, and who you're selling to. So I think that our goal is to create connections on both sides of the fence, but it isn't just a conference where you're going to hear the same conversation that you've heard in other conferences. Usually we get relegated to a stage. We get a time slot at these different conferences. But we wanted to create a space where the whole conference is about us.
And it was crazy because there were so many different discussions going on. It was hard to even decide because some conversations are happening all at the same time.
Yeah.
But one thing I have to say, because I went the first year, didn't go last year, but best believe you'll see me this year. But it felt like, oh my God, this is the tribe I've been looking for in advertising all this time. And they're here. Like, we've always been there, but like when we're in individual agencies, there's only one or two of us, and that's it.
Yeah, when we're individual agencies, we don't see each other. Coming up, it was very rare to see anybody like me coming up. And, I kept my head down, stayed to myself, stayed quiet, got the work done. But there comes a time in your life where the work that you do only gets you put so far. You've got to start you've got to start getting yourself out there. Who you are, your personality, the special sauce of who you are is what starts to elevate you in your career. Utilizing my background as a graphic designer only got me so far. But I had to bring my, everybody says bring your whole self in to work. But sometimes the whole self is not what they want to see.
No. They say that.
They say that, but when you bring your whole self, they don't want to see it. And I'm like, we've all heard it. Oh, can you be less aggressive?
Yeah.
Oh, can
be more sensitive to blase blah.
Yeah,
because
blah, 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 blah.
It's like,
but
it's always us. We have to be more sensitive.
Exactly.
To
I'm not aggressive. You're just soft.
Award tour time.